Thank you for that introduction. I was thinking back as I was preparing for this, when really did this start? I mean, we did have the incident that was referred to, but really it started, I think, in this room as listening to one of the previous, I guess, State of the Nations on the leaks, and I was sitting in the audience saying, how does Expro fit into this? I mean, a lot of the statistics that are shown are operator statistics. And Expro being a service company, you know, how do we fit into that? So I actually went away with some of my colleagues and we said, where are we in that? First of all, hopefully none of those are too related to us, but we know we do have hydrocarbon releases on jobs. So we went away and started to look at it, and while we were having those initial discussions, we did have an incident, and during the review, you know, kind of the undercurrent theme was no leak should be acceptable. It was on a wireline job that went on a little bit too long to remedy the situation, and that was the impetus to build some momentum around this. So that was kind of the background for what started this campaign over the last year, and I'll give you a little bit more background on that. So, you know, the first thing, Expro is a little different in the sense from perhaps some of the others in the audience here from the operator community, in that we deal with temporary equipment. You know, we go to a well site, we have different challenges. Some of those challenges are good. We have the opportunity to work on our equipment back at the base and inspect them and do those types of tests, which is perhaps something you don't have in an operating environment offshore. But we're also faced with a lot of temporary connections. We're also, you know, we get to the well site, and in a lot of cases, I don't know what the percentage is, this is probably something we need to look at, how many of the incidents we have are linked to those temporary connections that are made on the well site. The other thing is, in the well testing environment specifically, oftentimes we're faced with unknown conditions. What are the fluids or the solids that are being flowed? So we've got erosion problems, these types of things that we try and manage, but those are, again, they're unknowns that in a production environment would be a little bit different. So as we set out on this path, we tried to think of a few things to make sure we attack those unknowns, and did that. There we go. So, as a backdrop, hydrocarbon containment is a major factor in our day-to-day life, mainly in the wireline and well test environment. We're working with pressure. Our crews are working with pressure every day. And as I said, oftentimes in unknown environments, they're having to rig up around things, so there's a lot of temporary connections, different things, and then unknown fluids. So it is something they're dealing with on a day-to-day basis. Oftentimes at high pressures, so not uncommon to be working 15,000-pound equipment, you know, so a lot of harsh conditions. So it is something we're dealing with on a regular basis. The thing is that as we started along this campaign, one of the things that came evident was our employees didn't appreciate the risks associated with hydrocarbon releases. Too many times as we were digging into some of the incidents, and I'll back up a little bit, one of the first things we encountered was there was this confusion about the difference between hydrocarbon releases and spills to the sea. You know, in the well test environment, there are times where you're burning, where we do have, you know, the flare will go out and we'll have a spill to the sea. We hope it's not too many, but it is something we deal with. But it was interesting as we dug into this, that was one of the first things we uncovered, both with our customers, with the operators, and with our employees, and we had to kind of carve those away because there was a risk, or there was a feeling around spills to the sea that was different than the hydrocarbon releases. So these types of, if you want to say, junctures we went through as we developed the campaign. But the first thing we had to overcome was to impress upon our employees the risks around that. So that was one of the first things that we had to do that was a little bit different. And kind of echoing the comments that were made before on human factors, we did see it was human factors that were related. You know, I go back to the job I mentioned where we had a leak on a wireline job that went on too long. The crews on the job saw that as acceptable. They saw that as something, it was okay while they figured out what to do. And, oh, it wasn't a big leak. It was almost this, well, if you have temporary connections, you're going to have leaks. It was a bit of an acceptance to that. And it was that human factor aspect that we had to break down. And so that was one of the things we recognized parallel, you know, to the comments that were made here about the campaign that was put forth. So that was one of the big things that we had to deal with. So we launched a campaign. Really the official launch was in December. We worked most of last year putting the campaign together. You know, the one thing that when we set out, we tried to address certain things. You'll see this is just a picture of the crew that was involved. You'll see more about that in a minute. And really the underlying theme here is we were trying to do something different, okay? Our goal, much like the goal of the asset integrity team, was to reduce the hydrocarbon releases and spills within our operations. Now, a few offshoots from that was, parallel to this, we have incidents in our facilities during pressure testing. You know, we record those as well, and there was a lot of similarities. If we're having incidents in a pressure test bay, perhaps some of those are the similar incidents and actions we need to take that might be offshore. So there was a lot of parallels there. Might not be a hydrocarbon release, but it was an uncontrolled pressure release. So something as simple as maybe pressure testing wireline lubricator in a pressure test bay, we identify that, we track that, and we take some of the same actions that we might offshore. Because again, temporary connections, some of the same failure modes, some of the same perhaps human factors involved. So even though we focused on reduced hydrocarbon releases, some of these other, if you want to say, groups of incidents was information that helped us move along. So the campaign, what did we want to develop? We wanted, first of all, the thread was we wanted to develop something different, and we wanted to involve the workshop and operational folks. If we were going to do something different or to engage the human factors component of the campaign or the issues, we knew we had to engage the folks to get them involved in one way or another. And the other thing was to do it differently. I mean, I think all of us have sat through the PowerPoint video with a picture and, you know, you kind of sit there and there's the narrator. You know, we have way too many of those in our orientation. In fact, yesterday I was with a group of new employees and I just feared to think that after that meeting I was at, they were going to go in a room and be placed in front of them those PowerPoint videos that you were there. We didn't want to do that because we were trying to break the mode or the model of that. So that was one of the things we set forth as our goal. And to some degree, some of those PowerPoint videos were internal. You know, we all think we're great at PowerPoint. We think we're great at putting these presentations together. So we said we better go outside and get a little bit of help for somebody who does this, who's better at communicating. So those were a few of the if you want to say, initial components that we set out. So how did we execute? So we put together the campaign, which was mainly about a video, but there were other components as well. You know, things like logos and, in fact, well, I didn't show it. It was on the first one. The logo for the campaign, tally books, stickers, these kind of things went along. But the main was around the video, which I'll show you in a moment. And rolled that out. Also through other multimedia channels, you know, things like screensavers and these types of things. Again, to try and get the word out. And, you know, I'm sure, again, everybody's had these moments. You kind of roll it out. IT's got full control, takes over everybody's computer, and it crashed the system the first day. We got more press than we really wanted, which was good because now everybody, you know, understood what the campaign was about. So we rolled it out, and the video was a big thing. One of the things we did try and do was to link it with the rest of Expro safety culture. And you know, within our culture, we stress champion safety. It's kind of a play on words, it's strategic. We tried to get away from the old monocle of safety leadership and managed safety, safety management. Because anytime you use those words, I think people turn off in the sense, oh, I'm not in the leadership team, so I'm not involved in safety leadership. So a little play on words, we've really pushed with champion safety as our core, one of our core behaviors. Key to that is the Expro House rules. Similar to other companies have their golden rules or life-saving rules, but it's the basic rules that we stress from day one with our team. And with the undercurrent, follow these rules, everything will be okay. If they aren't okay, if everything's not all right, to stress the risk assessment. And then we have a behavioral-based safety system called positive intervention. We've tried to pull that into this system as well so that we don't have something that's off to the side. But the idea being if you follow that, you know, we will have success. So, the success of the campaign, what has happened? I mean, just being here is part of the success of the campaign. You know, we've had visible workforce engagement. We rolled the video out globally. We rolled the campaign out globally. I mean, I personally was in Houston at a meeting, rolled it out, and when you see it, I mean, I'm not from here. You know, I have trouble understanding the accent, so when you hear this and you hear Jackie McNamara in here in a second, you can imagine my colleagues in Houston trying to interpret things. But it's that kind of a buzz that caused the interaction, that caused the discussion. You know, the message is one thing, but just to get people talking about it is half the battle. Widespread customer feedback. We didn't expect to get phone calls from people a month after we launched the video. Can we show this on our rig for the safety meeting? Can we show this? And by the way, the answer is yes. You know, we'll make this available to anybody. We've got CDs. We can get you sticks, do different things. And even if we want to edit some of the stuff, I mean, we will work with people because it is something that it comes across quite well. And one of the first recognitions we did receive was the IOIC, which I had to make a note of it because it's not one of those normal, which was the Institute of Internal Communications. So the company that helped us put it together presented it in their realm for the quality of it, which was really, again, good. And then the finalist in the Oil and Gas UK Safety Awards that we spoke about. And for us, and this is Expro Europe CIS, which is the region we're focused on out of Aberdeen here, which is UK, Norway, continental Europe, and then CIS. Since we launched in December, really sometime in November, we have seen a 50% reduction. And I can't help but think this, just the communication, just the awareness and engaging people has helped on that. So we hope to continue that momentum. The numbers aren't as big, luckily, as the numbers that Jeff presented earlier, but still, we are involved in a lot of hazardous environments, and when we do have problems, we recognize that so do our customers. So, you know, that is something that we're proud of, and we're proud of the recognition and the team that went there. So, without further ado, I'll show you the video. And again, if you are interested, contact myself. Stuart Patterson's here, and I'm going to give recognition to Stuart Patterson, who's our region QHSE manager here in Aberdeen. This was his idea to go out the football realm and to contact Jackie, and it's been good to have that relationship. So thank you for that, Stuart. So without further ado, I'll hand it over to the video.